Hello, this is Hayden Call for WDD330 for our final project. I enjoyed this class, learned quite a bit about things that I was definitely struggling with before, so I'm excited to share with you some of the things I've learned. As far as my professional development throughout the semester in the course, I did find myself really growing in areas that I needed to. Particularly my use of my ability to write JavaScript I felt like I became a lot more efficient at it. I also became better at finding resources when I didn't know what to do. And so there was a number of instances where like I would try to challenge myself in the individual assignment. And I would pick something that I don't really know how to do that as far as doing like dynamically populating like the total or shift changing how like the display worked when you're on the individual screen. And I was able to do the research and successfully figure it out using that innate creativity and curiosity, trying to grow in that area. I also found myself just exploring the environment, testing stuff out, saying, "Oh, does this do that?" and trying to figure out the things that do similar things but in different ways, and how to use that to my advantage. I really feel like I've been able to maximize those areas of my development so far, and they're in progress. Obviously, they're still going, but I've definitely enjoyed it. As far as my site, let's get to my project here. I'm just gonna flip my screen real quick. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and populate it. So fly ink link here. This is my final project site. The kind of purpose behind the site is it's designed to be like a good morning resource for people right when they wake up, as far as in the morning to start their day, to use it and just get them some kind of basic information that they need right away. And so as it loads up here, so I just refreshed it. There we go. You'll see it initially just says good morning, tells them what the date is, has a box that shows them the weather locally, as well as a map box that they could use to figure out what their commute time would be as far as that traffic would go. Then it gives them a quote of the day that's randomly generated. The way it's kind of built out is that these three sections are all generated using third-party APIs, and then JavaScript generally just dynamically populates everything. Let me just walk you through that a little bit. So JavaScript dynamically pulls in the header and footer of the site. It pulls in this date, as well as dynamically populates these APIs as far as these third-party ones that are pulling. This weather one pulls the current weather, and then we have a little animation here. If you click it, there's a little card flip, and it shows you the forecasted weather for the next 3 days. It also uses a geolocation API script underneath that's not exposed that I had to write that locates, and this actually in the weather instance, it doesn't use that. It uses a IP address locator where it just kind of generalizes it. This Mapbox one uses a geolocation to find your exact, to define that. That's how it figures out where your A coordinates are. And so the user would come here, they'd see the weather, and they could use it from there. As to some of the JSON, that's how that works. The weather API populates JSON files that it pulls the data from, as does this Mapbox one, that it pulls the specific data from as to how it's working. You can see the CSS used throughout the site as far as creating the boxes, rounding corners, defining the colors, and kind of setting up the individual grids and formatting for the site. You can also see the example of some of the events here. So with some of the animations that we added some hover effects to kind of help users figure out where they are on the site. You can see those little borders light up there when they're in one of these, as well as if they're looking at these buttons with the quote of the day. That hover effect will take a place. There's also this flip card. I'll bounce back and forth there for the user, kind of telling them either the forecast or the specific weather for the day. And then when they're in here using our map API, you can see how this updates as well. The idea is the user would come here, put in like their work address, to find what their commute time would be. We'll just do a local business around me. This is the Kaysville Theater here in Kaysville, Utah. North Main Street in Kaysville. And that'll show me just a simple map here as to um, how to get there. You can switch between different modes of transportation. It also gives you some directions. Most importantly, it gives you that time. I always find that's what I do in the morning. That's kind of why I thought to build this, is I always about 5 times pull up some sort of maps app and I'm looking how long is my commute. And so this is kind of designed to help get that quickly to a user, as well as the weather for the day, know how to dress, things like that. Down here in our quote of the day, we have these other events there with our event handlers, our listeners. These have obviously a hover effect associated with them. With this being the first one, if we hit back, it's going to take us back to the prior quote, and then the prior quote before that. Eventually, it's going to say, this is the first quote we loaded, right? The reason why it had ones is because it actually saves in local storage. And so if we hit next, it'll generate a new quote as needed. If they're already in storage, it'll hang them out. Because the way that it's set up on the back end is it sets the quote when it pulls it to local storage. And then when I hit back, it just gets the local storage for the prior index. Unless I'm at the first one, then it pops up this alert that says you're at the first quote. So that's kind of how my site works and how everything works as far as using JavaScript, third-party APIs, JSON, CSS events, and local storage. It was fun to make, came together a lot quicker than I was expecting. That made me really excited about my skills and my abilities with this, as well as my future in web development. So thank you so much.